G'day ladies and gentlemen, this is a Space Pirates and Zombies 2 playthrough, and I am your host, Vasdema. With the full release of Min-Max Games Space Pirates and Zombies 2 comes the third playthrough from me. For any first time viewers who don't own the game, it's an RPG slash strategy slash resource management slash shipbuilder with space combat and the titular zombies. So without further ado, let's get to it. Okay, so here we are with the third playthrough on the channel, and I believe seventh playthrough for me. Of course, we will be starting a new Sandbox game. If you haven't played through this yourself, I would strongly recommend you start with the story campaign, because it will basically... it'll work like a tutorial. It'll teach you all the good stuff, but the meat of the game is in the Sandbox. Now, to start off, we're going to set up exactly how we want to play, and that is the great thing about the Sandbox in this game. You can tinker with so many little options. Or you can just choose one of the 5 defaults and play from there. But we're not going to do that. We are going to tinker with everything. Now, there is a completely new map, a 100 sector one. So what I might do is I might actually play on the 100 sector map, because while I really liked the 200 sector map that we played on last season, there are only, I think, what, is it like 201 captains in the game? It might be, yeah, 200 other captains and yourself, or something along those lines. It's only a little bit over 200. So yeah, I just found that there wasn't enough captains for a galaxy of that size. So we're going to play on the 100 sector galaxy this time. Let's go down to the advanced setup. Tutorials are already off. Was there an option to have an explored star map? I can't remember. Well, in this game, there's no fog of war, but the map starts shrouded. Now, I'm going to leave this option off, primarily because every sector that you explore gives you 10 experience, and minus the one you start in, that means I will be able to get 990 experience from exploring the rest of the galaxy. Okay, so we're going to have all the factions even. Actually, I think all my settings from last season are still in yes, because I saved. That's right. Okay, so Pissweak factions, both in terms of size and strength. Bandits. Oh God, because we really did have so many bandits everywhere. You know what? I really like the bandits everywhere. Let's just fucking leave it, eh? So, bandits everywhere. They won't start off ridiculously strong, else once we get to level 5 and our period of grace finishes, we won't be able to get anywhere in the game. In fact, most bandits I will be dodging for a long while anyway. I will have to prey on other weaker NPC captains. Zombie timer. Let's go with right at the start of the game again. So 10 seconds in, the zombie outbreak will start. Starting level, I'll start my level at 0, primarily because if you watch the last few seasons, you don't actually get any extra resources. So you start at a higher level, and because you're above level 5, you are a target, but you have no extra resources, so you can only equip junk parts. Extra subcores, yes, we want to be able to build 21 core ships at the end of the game, so 6 late. Part size unlocking at normal speed, so we will get small parts at level 1 and so on and so forth. And the reason I'm saying so on and so forth is I can't for the life of me remember when the other parts unlock. Ability unlocks, I will just leave that normal. Cloaking and bounties, become available within the first 10 levels. I think cloaking is level, I want to say 7, but it might be 9. I don't know. No, on my luck, it'll be 8. And I don't use a lot of cloaking anyway, though I may this game, and you will find out shortly why I may have to use cloaking. Strikecraft unlocking. So the larger strikecraft will actually unlock later in the game because, well, it will be interesting to see if they have fiddled with the balance. Oh my god! Did I mention the fact that this game is now in... I didn't. Okay, this is version 1. The game has fully released and it is out of early access, and that is awesome, which is why I'm playing a 3rd season. And this will probably be the final season of the game, unless I want to do something absolutely ridiculous in the game, or DLC comes out for the game, or there is just a patch that is that awesome that I have to start a 4th season. Here we are. I'm talking about the 4th season when I'm literally just starting the 3rd. Let's get on with it. Okay, so Strikecraft, it will be interesting to see if there has been any balancing changes, but we will find that out later. All these 4 options are about Strikecraft. I am going to leave them as they are. Dead Space. Now, this came in with version, I want to say 0.9.5. Could be wrong about that, but I think it was, I think it was 0.9.5. And Dead Space basically creates regions of space where you can't establish star bases. Well, nobody can establish star bases. You do have the option of whether or not resources will spawn there, though. Now, with these Dead Space regions, you can either have them clumped together like a massive big cluster, a big empty hole in space, or you can have them be like, well, they use the word veins, but they're like rifts or rivers of nothing. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the cluster because I want to have it like a sheer rift through space, because that way it'll break up. What do we call them? Trade connections? Whatever. The connections between star bases. Because I think that will be interesting. Now you have to choose the volume. Is it in single percents? Okay, what I might do, I might make it a full third of the galaxy. So 37, that'll leave... no, 34. What am I doing? Jesus Christ. Me math good. Okay, so we'll have an entire third of the galaxy that will just be dead space, and that means that will leave 66 territories to be fought over by roughly 200 captains. And that should be lots of fun, so it'll be more than 3 captains per sector. Dead Space Scatter, we just want it to be one zone, because it will be the vein option. It should be just one big long line, or I presume at some point there will have to be multiple territories touching each other, but for the most part it should be one touching 2 others, like a big long river of darkness. But we've went on too long about Dead Space. Let's get on with the next lot of options. It's the meta. Ignore player level to 5. Okay, that's the period of grace. So it's already at the regular, which is also the maximum. Level up, we changed that to fast last time because we found Season 1 was a little bit slow for a YouTube playthrough. Perks per level, that's how many show up on the menu. We'll leave that at 3, that's the default. Small part, okay, this is those connections I was talking about earlier. We'll just leave them as the default. Max ship speed, we ended up, because you can actually change these settings mid-game, what we're going to do is we are going to pump that all the way up, because that is the speed, not in tactical combat, but on the strategic map. Sorry, just needed a water. chase range, what that is how far away enemy ships need to be before they will spot you and start chasing you, which is really important for the pirates. We'll leave that at the default of 40. Battle warm-up, that is how much time I believe on the strategy map between initiating a battle and it going to the tactical map, which is important because it gives 15 seconds, I assume. I don't know what that is. Now, if it was my maths teacher, I remember in high school, did this ever happen to anybody else? Like if you left the units off an equation or whatever, especially a geometric one, your teacher would say something about, 15 what? 15 elephants? So, yeah, that was drummed into me. If it's cubic centimeters, put it bloody down. If it's whatever. Anyway, I'm waffling on again, so let's get on with it. I do that a lot. If you are not a regular watcher of this channel, expect that. It happens. Sales tax, that's the markup on all items, so you can use that as a global multiplier. Blueprint drop rate. Was that there last time? That's an awesome option. Because usually you will find that you are fighting like, 6-star strikecraft when you have only found enough blueprints to put 3-star strikecraft into battle. So what I might do, even though so that's the thing, I don't actually use strikecraft all that much. But let's see, it goes all the way up to 4. Fuck it, let's just put it up to 4 and just see how many blueprints drop exactly. That's the custom part multiplier and the max stars of custom parts. Okay, that's interesting. Fairly sure those options weren't there last time. Or the price multiplier might have been, but I don't think the max stars was. I'd have to go back and watch the first episode of Season 2. And that is not for this point in time. Combat, I am going to leave all of these as they are. The only changes I believe I made last season was synergy damage. If you are not familiar with my feelings on the matter, I actually detest the synergy system. I think it weakened the game personally. Basically, it encourages you to simply build big bricks in space, which not only are boring to look at in terms of, whether or not they're an awesome design, because they're not a fucking awesome design, but you can only play them in so many ways because you really have to limit what weapons you're going to stick on them. So, yeah, I really don't like the system, so I'm putting the synergy damage all the way down, and yep, that's it. That's how I feel about it. Sorry if any of you are listening and think, oh, but the synergy system is great. Well, sorry, I disagree. Please register your complaints in the comment section down below. Strikecraft star damage, that is the additional damage multiplier for each star of a strikecraft. So the reason I lowered that last season was because the strikecraft were still, I don't know, the strikecraft, you get past a certain point in the game around between level 65 and 70, and the game becomes more about strikecraft than motherships, and then it turns back around, I don't know, after level 100, because then the strikecraft don't get any stronger because they're all at 6 stars and motherships keep on getting stronger. But yeah, I'll just leave it. We'll see how that goes. Now, I'm not going to change any of the other values because if you fiddle with these, you could technically break, well, not permanently break the game, but you could make battles unfinishable because you could end up with the shields regenerating quicker than you could actually damage them, which happens as it is when you attack a base that is too strong for you and you have to end up retreating. So I'm just going to leave everything unless they have really, changed the balance for any of the weapons in the game. Everything should work fine. Zombie War. Now I am going to leave Alpha Strength all the way up yet again. Zombie sector strength, I'll just leave as it is. In fact, all of these settings are really good. I found these to create a really good zombie challenge. So, rebounding zombies. This came in again after, like the Dead Space update, it came in after I started the last season. I won't bother putting this option on simply because if you put this option on, you can play a game forever. Like literally, the zombies will just keep coming back, and that is awesome. That is one of the things I personally wanted. But in terms of a YouTube playthrough, unless I just wanted to be playing this game, for the next 10 years, just to amuse the Christ out of his, there's not much point having rebounding zombies. I think the goal for this game, for a change, rather than just knocking the zombies out, will be to capture the entire galaxy. I might end up changing my mind on that. I might take out the zombies and realise that it'll just, I'll just get bogged down attacking the NPC factions. But we will decide that after the zombies have been knocked out, which will take quite a while since I put the alpha strength up to 300. Resources. I was actually considering putting up the maximum sizes for the piles so you don't actually have to visit the piles so often. But I think I'll just leave it. Everything is good. Raids, cloaking, neither of them really factor into my gameplay all that much. I will just leave them at the default. Starbase build time. I think I may have put that up last time because basically once a starbase gets knocked out, somebody will come along and build a new one, and it takes a certain amount of time to set up the base. And that way, if you want to interfere with their building operation, it gives you a bit of time. Infection spread rate over parts. Goons required to maintain a subcore. All these things, I believe I will leave at their default. Okay, so before we move on, one thing you should know is that, in case you are not a regular watcher, I am playing on my potato and I have my recording software in the background. So this game is not looking as good as it would if it was running on your computer, unless you have an even bigger potato than I do. So the game does actually look better at full settings, and those settings aren't actually that draining. You don't actually need some super rig to make this game look really, really good. Apart from shadows, I can pretty much have everything on full, even on my potato, and my settings are down in the description. Anyway, last thing, this episode will mainly be the setup, which I've already gone through. I'll go through the basics, and then I will explore the galaxy, which I will skip most of that. So if you have watched previous seasons and you just want to get straight onto the action, now that you've seen my options for setup, you may want to just skip to the second episode. One last thing before we do that though, I haven't chose the difficulty level, and this time around I'm going to play it hard. Oh, actually it's called expert. Has it always been called expert? I could have swore it was called hard. Forget it. I'm just going to call it fucking hard. Okay, so I am going to play on hard, not because, I want to show off or any bullshit like that, but because they made a change. Before, the only way to have more than 80 zombie captains in the game was to play on insane. Now, personally, it would have been really great if it was a sandbox option to either have the limitation turned off or to set a new number. But for whatever reason, Minmax Games decided to tie it to the difficulty level. What they did do was turned off the thrall limit for hard. So I'm going to play on hard so that there can be more than 80 zombie captains in the game, and that the zombies can just spread across the galaxy unhindered. And without further ado, let's get on with it. Okay, so for the very basics, I am only going to just cover the very basics. Everything else I will introduce as I use it. What first? Okay, the three resources. Okay, so we've got the res. Res is basically I won't spoil anything. If you haven't played the first game, you will find out about what res is, how it is formed by either playing through the campaign or reading the lore entries which are scattered throughout space. There's not one in this territory. I'll show you one when I get to one. So res is primarily your fuel for your ship. If you run out completely, you will still be able to move, but you will just chug along at a slow ass rate, like really slow. You'll see NPC captains run out all the time, and they just become targets for pirates straight away. Now, your goons, you need 20 for every subcore on your ship, which you start off with 3, and you will go all the way up to, well, normally you go all the way up to 15, but as you saw in setup, I elected to have the ship go all the way up to 21. That's what I didn't say. With res, as well as fuel, much later in the game, you can also use a large amount of res to cure infected captains of the infection and bring them back to the side of humanity. That also leaves them with a massive bonus of loyalty towards you, makes them easy to recruit. Goons are primarily used, A, to staff your ship, and B, to clean your ship, because either you will get infected yourself in combat, or even more likely you will pick up infected parts either when you fight zombies or you stumble across the remains of an NPC captain who got the fucking shit blown out of him, or you blow the shit out of an NPC captain who has been infected. Scrap. Scrap is the universal currency of the game. There's nothing really more I can say about that. That is your money. Scrap is your everything if you want to survive. Up here on the far right is the doom timer, the doom clock. But because I chose an instant zombie outbreak, it's at 10 seconds. So the zombies will be here momentarily. XP bar is pretty self-explanatory unless you have never played a role-playing game in your life. Yeah, I'm not even going to go there. If you've never played a role-playing game in your life, there is, something wrong. Assemble ship. Of course, a main part of this game is the ability to build your own ship out of parts. At the start, the only thing you can use is junk parts. If you go up level and get more cores, and you don't have any real parts to put on your ship, you can go to any starbase, go to the junkyard that is around said starbase, and every starbase has a junkyard, and you can attach junk parts, which are exactly the sort of parts I have right now. So we'll go back to the star map. Inventory, self-explanatory. You have 3 engine settings. You can do a full burn, or a boosted burn as they call it. You can have conserve mode, which pretty much uses no res at all, or just your normal engine mode. Just be aware, if you go into boost mode, it uses 3 times as much res as regular mode. The hangar, Strikecraft. You start off with 2 hangars, as you can see, at level 10 and level 20. The possibility that that perk comes available in the menu begins. That was a clunky sentence. You know what I mean, or I assume you know what I mean. Basically, every time you level up, you get a list of 3 perks. And once you get to level 10, the extend hangar perk goes into the pool of possible perks that will show up. And at level 20, the 4th hangar one does. Now, you start off with 2 hangars, and there are different sorts of ships that you can put in those hangars, but at the start, you will only have the one ship available. You will need to get blueprints in order to unlock the other ships. Not only do you have these little ships that you stick in the hangar, you can actually decide down to every last mount what you want these ships to be equipped with. Again, I'm not a big user of Strikecraft, but if you are, you can have them auto-deploy the very second you get into a battle, and after a battle, if they've been destroyed, which will happen quite a bit if you use them, you can have them auto-restock. At the start of the game, be very careful with the auto-restock because you don't have a lot of scrap. Later in the game, you'll have hundreds of thousands of units of scrap, and you can auto-restock to your heart's content. Next, the factions. Actually, I'll cover the factions after I explore the galaxy, and which I believe I have come to right now. I will skip most of it, but what I will do is first I'll go to this wreckage. 60 scrap. Is there even... Well, this guy doesn't seem to be going over there. Let's just run over, and I made it first. As I said during setup, I am completely safe until I get to level 5. At that point, my period of grace ends. Oh, that's interesting. I started with 10 XP, presumably the 10 XP for exploring. I'll put that in inverted commas. Exploring Sleon 2. So I will get the full 1,000 from exploring all 100 sectors. Now, over here is a scrap pile. As it nears to full, other NPC captains will come and try and get it. If it gets all the way to full, you actually get double the value if you manage to pick it up. But, oh, and here we go. Here is a pirate base. They start off, this one's already at level 2. As the bandits go out and they rip people off, they will bring their treasure back here, and once they have accumulated enough, the base will get bigger. And once it is at full size, it will just keep on accumulating more and more scrap. I believe, God, it's been a while since I played this. Is it 15,000 scrap? Or it might be more than that. It might be 30. I can't remember. Damn. Anyway, so a full level 3 hive will go up to a massive amount of scrap, which then, and only then, because you wait, you be patient. And then when it is absolutely crammed full of loot, you go in and you steal it all from them. And that is a joyous occasion. Okay, what else have we got? We have no law in this sector, which is a shame. Ooh, that's a whole bunch of scrap. I'm running down here. Now, early on, you are not going to need the goons. So you may want to take them to a starbase and sell them off, because they do cost you a tiny bit of res. Now, with bigger piles, you can't scavenge the whole thing all at once. It may take multiple usages. Now, that's what I didn't mention. So yeah, the zombies are now in the game. They're at 303, which means they have their base of 300, which is what I set in the setup. So you can't just rush them early on. And 3, which means they only control one sector at this point in time. Let's run over to this wreckage and we'll pick this up too. And then what I want to do is just find a piece of lore just to show you what they look. Oh, blue guy. Okay, so there is probably a faction starbase somewhere, probably here actually. Okay, that is an ambient location, a mining operation which has multiple levels. You go in basically and you can either mine the rocks for a tiny bit of res, or you can steal the res caches of other miners, in which case, of course, they will respond with hostility. So you got to be ready for that. And after you fight the first bunch of miners, then you can steal even more, and a bigger wave will come in, and so on and so forth. Apart from right at the start of the game, it usually isn't enough res to bother with, and the problem is, right at the start of the game, those increasing waves you don't have much chance of beating. So yeah, unless they've fiddled with the balance on that, The mining operations aren't usually something I do. Okay, still no lore entries. Okay, so another blue guy. I'm guessing, yeah, they might have their base down here. No, they don't. Okay, this is a lore entry. Now, every time you pick up one of them, you get some rares, you get some scrap, and you get 30 experience, which is awesome at the start of the game. Now that I have shown you them, actually, that is what a cloning farm, which contains goons, looks like, and this is what a res field looks like. And so now you know what all three of the resource piles looks like. I am going to explore the galaxy, and I will get back to you after I do that. Okay, so after exploring for a bit, I've got enough experience to go up to level 1, and with level 1 I can get proper small parts, not just the junk parts, but I can actually buy proper small parts, and I have to choose between an increase of 20% to my shield strength, 10% to scavenging, or 15% to weapon damage, and that is a hard choice. Destroy enemies quicker or last longer, and I will choose last longer because, again, unless things have changed early in the game, almost every enemy you face decides to throw massive weights of missiles at you, and having the shields to get within range is a great thing. Wait, is that the zombie alpha? Oh my god, so zombie territory must be very close. Wow, zombie alpha. Unlike all the other factions, the only zombie that can build star bases for their faction is the zombie alpha. So that is the only thing that truly limits zombie expansion. Okay, so I'm going to get back to the exploring, and if I go up another level, obviously I will show you what choices I make. Other than that, I will get on with the exploring. I think I already said that. I'll shut up now. So here we are, we've leveled up again to level 2, and my choice this time is between the capacitor, the scavenging, or armor. I am going to choose the capacitor because that is basically your clip. If this was any shooter, your capacitor is your clip. So that is what I'm going to choose. Okay, there's another bit of lore, so let's just see how... Holy shit. Oh, damn, I'm fairly sure that was a miners conglomerate sector. Anyway, I'm spoiling things. I said I was going to explore and then show you, so I will get back to exploring and picking up lore and whatever other stuff I can pick up, and I'll be back. Here we are up to level 3, and I can now increase the size of my ship up to 4 cores, and I have to choose between scavenging, armor, and reactor. And reactor increases your reload speed, which basically is the time to fill up your clip, or your capacitor, which is your clip. So we will increase reactor. Okay, and again, I am going to get back to exploring, and I will be back with you shortly. So, up to level 4, and my choices are additional health, bonus to trading, or weapon damage plus 15. What am I gonna pick? I just can't make up my mind. Okay, so I have finished exploring the galaxy. It is quite interesting. As you can see, there's lots of dead space around. It's actually isolated quite a few pockets of territories, like little islands here. And yeah, and so as you can see, one faction in particular is not in a great position. That is the miners conglomerate down here. But let me introduce you to all the factions. Now, to start off, we have the non-faction, which is the lone captains. At the moment, there is myself and 89 other captains who are yet to join another faction or be infected and converted to the zombies. Next up, we have, of course, the zombies, and, well, they're pretty self-explanatory. The zombie alpha runs around building bases, and the zombie... Holy fuck! Just while I've been exploring the map and picking up the lore entries, zombie alpha has converted 76... My God! In a normal game, he is almost at the thrall limit already. But because I'm playing on hard, there is no thrall limit. Holy shit, he is on course to turn every captain in the galaxy into a zombie. You know, I've got a bad feeling that this season is going to be over within 10 episodes because I've just created a completely unwinnable situation. But that's neither here nor there because I was trying to explain the factions. Now, civilian ascendancy, their specialty is health. Yes, it's health. I'm fairly sure it's health. So their parts have more health than all the other factions. Basically, all the factions also have not only different parts, but some weapon systems are available to some factions and some aren't. There's no master list anywhere, but when you go to buy things, especially when you go to custom order things, yeah, some factions just don't build certain things. So the civilian ascendancy, their specialty is extra health on all their parts. With the Void Militia, it's additional shields. So if you get a heap of Void Militia cores, that's great because it will boost the shields for your entire ship. While the nose of your ship gives you the highest bonus to shields, if all of your cores are Void Militia cores, yeah, you can really, really up your shields. Sun Hunters, engines all the way. And because all of their parts improve their engines, again, if you decide to make all your cores Sun Hunters, you can end up with a fucking fast ship, like a ridiculously fast ship. The only problem is they're smaller parts. They have the weirdest firing degree. It's like, what, 45 degrees to 225 degrees? Yeah, so it's a really, really weird firing arc. While everybody else is either 0 to 180, or in the case of the Sovereignty of Science, almost all of their parts have a 360 degree arc, which is awesome. I love small Sovereignty of Science pieces. Minus Conglomerate, extra armor for all their pieces. Sovereignty of Science is... I can't remember if it's capacitor or reactor. I think it's reactor. So yeah, the capacitor fills up quicker. And last... Oh, actually, that is all of them. Never mind. Okay, so let's go back to the map and let's have a look at where everybody is. Sovereignty of Science is up here. And there's their capital over there with their faction leader, Mr. Powder. Sun Hunters are up here. Here's their capital. Mistress Red being their faction leader. And we got civilians here. Oops. Didn't mean to touch that pirate. Get away from me, you filthy pirate. Wow. So the civilian capital is right next to the zombie capital. I wouldn't want to be the civilians at this point in time. The only people who are in a worse position are the miners conglomerate. Jeez, are they in a bad position? God. So the Void Militia capital is down here. Owner is Vacuum. I love the names of some of the captains in this game. Oh, sorry, who was the faction leader? Oh, that's right, Admiral Belorf is the leader of the civilians. And the miners conglomerate with their capital down here. With their faction run by Brain in Jar. Yeah, man, I really do not like... Yeah, I'm surprised that while I was exploring the galaxy that they just weren't taken out of the game. That would have been really amusing. First episode, one faction gone. But things are going to be interesting. That's all I can say. Will you look at this galaxy? Yeah, well, that is for another time, because I think I have covered everything that needs to be covered. Just one last thing of note. As you may have noticed, or those eagle-eyed amongst you may have noticed, I am 10 XP away from level 5, and there are still 3 lore entries to pick up. Of course, I haven't actually upgraded my ship in any way, so going up to level 5 right at this second, or worse, picking up one of these lore entries this close to the zombie capital, would be complete suicide. So the aim for next episode will be to use all these lovely resources I've picked up. I'll sell most of the goons, and I will use all the resultant scrap to upgrade my ship. I'm going to need flat cannons to ward off the early missile barrages that all the enemy captains like so much, and I'm going to need some hard-hitting weapon systems, maybe some shotguns for the center of my ship. It doesn't matter, we will discuss that next episode. And that's it for the boring first episode sort of stuff. Give me your thoughts down below, and like and subscribe as you will. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and most importantly, have a good one.